Brandon, you just got back from BlizzCon.
Hey,
and I was super
did.
jealous because I got to go last year and play Overwatch for the first time. But this year you went, you got to play some new heroes. They're in the game now. What was the event like this year?
BlizzCon?
Yeah.
Well, it was the first time I've ever actually gone. Like, I watched last year, the year that you went. But
this big. Like, there was a lot going on.
It's 25,000 people. So it's massive. And it's exactly what you think it is. Like, imagine the diehard sort of hardcore audience for World of Warcraft and Hearthstone and StarCraft and Warcraft and all these Blizzard properties. And then imagine
one conspicuous omission there.
Yeah,
Diablo.
Yeah. Unfortunately, BlizzCon did not scratch any itches for Diablo. In fact, really the only announcement was that a new patch is coming, and to be fair, it's a hearty patch, right?
Sure.
Like there's a lot they're adding to it,
but it's not like a season.
It's not a new expansion, and here we are, a year and a half, 18 months out of Reaper Souls.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's narratively it's time. And then speaking with the developers, they're much more concerned with doing sort of piecemeal storytelling as sort of a service kind of. Adding vignettes or
talking about the Nova expansion.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
StarCraft. Yeah.
And I mean, touching on that a little bit, he said that's also very much a learning experience for them. Like Nova Ops is definitely something they're watching very closely to see how the audience reacts to it. See if this is something that they can bank on more. Instead of what I feel like Blizzard has really been known for the last 15, 20 years, which is
the big expansion,
which is the big, really polished, fantastic product, full-priced expansion,
the version 2.0 of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Rather than a colon, they do a new number.
Although I'm kind of really interested to see what they're going to do with that, because going back to Wings of Liberty in particular, like each of those maps felt like kind of its own mini game. Like if they were selling those maps one at a time for a reasonable price, like that could be cool.
Well, I mean, there you go. Look at Hearthstone, right? It's sort of Blizzard's first entry into something that isn't that standalone price. And again, even with Overwatch, I think everyone here expected Overwatch to enter the arena as sort of like a free-to-play.
One of the first things you said,
microtransaction-based sort of game.
And I'll bet you anything that it was until Here's the Storm launched.
Yeah, and they saw sort of the adoption rate.
Their model for that was not good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I asked them about Overwatch, like why did you go the full price? And they're like, well, we have all kinds of different pricing models. So I really feel like Blizzard is kind of maybe turned a corner is sort of a tired phrase, but they're at a point now where they're looking at things differently, right? They're testing things out and seeing what works and finding ways to support their business models that aren't just sort of what they're used to.
It is really interesting to see them kind of backing away from free-to-play like that. I mean, they seemed like full steam ahead into free-to-play.
Sure did.
That's not to say they won't.
Yeah, but it seemed like they would never make another game that wasn't free-to-play. And that's kind of what Valve has been doing. It's like, well, will Valve ever make another game that's not free-to-play?
And Valve and Blizzard were sort of the two pillars of that left, right? Like really polished quality products, and to see them completely turn the free-to-play pricing sort of model on its side with Dota, with Hearthstone. I'm really kind of shocked that Overwatch didn't follow along the same.
I mean, it could very well go free-to-play later. Like
TF2 did.
Yeah, I mean, they could very well change, especially once the initial rush is over, and then they want to reinvigorate the player base, get more people in there, get some fodder for the people who are really good to beat up on. Those games, they have to have an active player base or they die. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the moment that starts to flag, they either cut the price down to next to nothing or go to free to play.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of, there's always that weird comparison where free to play games, the developers aren't really selling content; it's selling other players to you, because the entire experience is you interacting with other players, and the content is just sort of the vehicle for that to happen. So it'd be really interesting to see, primarily like multiplayer centric games with a price tag on them, like a huge barrier to entry as far as like a $60 price tag goes. Those have suffered in the past. So I'm not super worried about it for Overwatch because Blizzard is Blizzard, and everyone is going to buy a Blizzard game. So I think this one will be okay, but just really strange considering the game and sort of the emergence of the hero shooter being what it is alongside MOBAs.
It's also just in like a weird place right now where it's like, okay, if you look at Overwatch as it is right now with the amount of characters it has and the amount of maps it has,
21,
for like $40 or whatever it's going to be at minimum cost, that's pretty good. You're going to get a decent game in there.
Yeah, and like if anyone doubts the marketing power of Blizzard to and its loyal fan base, And it was Legacy of the Void sold over 1 million copies coming out the same day as Fallout.
Yeah.
Like
in
that,
24 hours.
Yeah, that's madness.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, their install
actually
base
pulled that
is
off.
there for sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised they were able to pull that off. I'm very impressed and pleased that they did.
Me too.
You don't know for sure if they'll be able to transfer that kind of thing over to Overwatch. Probably not because it's not StarCraft.
Yeah, and that's the thing that
it could still be a big success.
That's where it becomes an issue. Is like if you are playing Overwatch and you're fine with just the base game, and they start selling new maps and new heroes and new whatever on top of this $40 game, then that's going to start fracturing the player base. It's going to make people feel like it's not fair anymore, like it's not a level playing field, and that's where it starts to get a little bit sticky for me.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
That's kind of an interesting thing. It's totally true, and that's why totally different area. But Street Fighter V is such an interesting new way to kind of do that, where they're like, yeah, there is going to be a base model that you pay for, but then we're going to keep adding to that, and then you can totally just earn that. All the new characters in Street Fighter V are just going to be like, yeah, you can purchase them for IRL money, but you can also just earn them. So I wonder if Blizzard will adopt that kind of thing, like kind of an in between where you can do one or the other, which is not a totally unheard of model. I mean, that's what League of Legends does currently.
Yeah, but League is not pay out of the gate, right?
Most of the MOBAs are, and that's the thing is when they're free to play, that in-game earned currency thing works perfectly because then all you're really doing is spending real money on time.
Right.
Like how many matches do I want to play to unlock, this new fighter versus do I want to just drop $5 now?
But when they add that to a $60
to an already
game,
price tag,
that raises some ire because I mean for me, I look at something like that where it's like, oh, you have to grind for a long time to earn this thing. It's like rather than creating a progression system that feels good to do, you're creating a progression system that feels bad to do so that I will pay to bypass it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like there is a progression sense there, but it's so slow. It's frustratingly slow.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking towards Overwatch's progression, we're all in the beta. I played it before it was the beta. I went down in Anaheim, and I haven't seen one lick of in-game sort of progression as far as a currency is based, as far as points.
No.
And granted, it is still beta.
Sure,
and
they could definitely add that system, but right
it,
now they seem confident in what they have as a base game, and obviously skins are coming, so maybe you'll be able to unlock skins with enough playtime or hours or kills or currency or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do wonder about hero editions.
And to clarify, I haven't been playing. I've been playing StarCraft. But carry on.
Good point.
Holding up the other Blizzard pillar. And that's the thing too is adding new characters and new maps and new modes. That's sort of almost the lifeblood of these multiplayer centric games.
Of any competitive game.
Yeah, because you can only play by the same rules so many times with the same pieces and the same cogs before you have to change it up and before you have to add new elements and strategy and shift the meta a little bit. So, it would stand to reason that they're going to add new heroes. They're going to add probably by the end of the year at least a couple new heroes in order to keep it going. It's coming out in spring. I would imagine by the end of 2016 you're going to see a much larger hero pool than they launched with. But do they charge more for it right out of the gate? Do they just sell them in expansion packs? Because then you have to remember as well, the consoles are going to have the same exact heroes as the PC on day one, and those are going to be separate ecosystems. So if you're going to try to keep things in parity, or jilt one platform against the other.
Also, when Blizzard starts supporting the competitive scene and focuses almost entirely on PC, how does that affect the console version?
Exactly.
Like Team Fortress 2, where it gets a little bit left behind. It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game I want to be playing for a really, really long time.
Me too.
I'm so in love with this game.
And that's the thing. So all the logistics are out of the way. Overwatch is just a blast. Isn't
Super
it?
fun. Yeah,
it's
I have
fun.
some pretty considerable problems with the way the levels are designed.
Yeah, I do too.
They seem to funnel into one choke point with a couple ways to get around on the left and the right, and that's it every map. But I don't care, man. I'm having a good time every time. I love playing as these heroes.
Every
I love
single
their
hero
skills.
feels like it's got maybe not a role, but a way to seriously impact whatever's happening.
There's some dudes I don't want to play as the roller skating DJ, but I'm glad when he's on my
rad.
team.
Yeah,
I like having him. I just don't want to play him.
So Mitch, put it head to head. Is it better than Battlefront?
Battlefront?
Yeah.
I don't even know how these games are comparable.
Yeah.
They are games that you point the thing at people and pull the trigger and shoot them until they're dead.
I pick Far Cry 2.
Settled.
Nice. Overwatch is a blast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how how that game changes once everybody gets in.
Yeah, they've been doing really slow beta
Yeah,
roll-ins.
the waves have been so slow.
Yeah.
But the beta test weekend is coming up, I think, Friday.
Yep, this week.
This Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's going to be a ton more people in there. So if y'all are bored and you just want to beat some people up, this weekend is definitely the place to do it.
It's nice that it's an actual beta and not a marketing beta.
Yep.
Like it's still far enough out that they can probably.
Blizz
make
is so
some
good at that
changes.
about doing betas that are like, it'll be a beta until it's out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with Heroes, they're like, I asked him, I interviewed Jeff Kaplan, who's the director on it, and I asked him how long is the beta going to be. He's like, well, look at sort of the timeline of other Blizzard games. And I was like, well, Heroes of the Storm was in beta for like a year before it launched.
I think StarCraft 2 is in beta for a year or more.
I think we're going to see Overwatch be in sort of a beta that gets progressively bigger up until spring of 2016 when it just launches. But you're totally right about it not being a marketing thing, and that is one thing they specifically said is this is not a marketing beta.
Yep.
We are actively taking design decisions from basically anyone. Like if you write it on a napkin and throw it at someone with a Blizzard t-shirt on, they're going to take it and consider it.
That's really interesting because usually they developers will actively warn you away from doing it. They'll treat it like poison when somebody suggests an idea to them because they're like, if we use this, we could get sued. So it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I wonder if that's because there's a difference between like feedback and critical suggestion
Ideation,
versus
yeah.
creative input sort of thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe they could probably legally fall back on like, well, we were already considering this, as you can see in these 35 email threads, and now we're deciding to implement it.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, but it's a touchy subject where somebody could say, "Oh, you took my idea. I demand compensation for that."
It's been going on for so long, though, right? Like
I mean,
everyone's got forums full of feedback for various betas throughout the years.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it could be-
this game's been in design for 4 years now.
Yeah.
But
so.
it could be that Blizzard's legal team just has a different way of thinking about it now, and maybe they think it's totally defensible.
I'm sure they have a very good legal team.
But they've had legal teams for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a new legal team. Maybe they just changed.
Hey, that's the legal strike team that won them the name Overwatch.
That's right. That's right.
But
They do good work.
Yeah,
Their track record.
couldn't stop Valve from using Dota though, could they?
Oh, that was so good. Where they're just like, nah, man, Dota's not an acronym. It's just a word. What does it mean? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just there. Dota's just a word now. It's not all caps. It's not intercat. It's just a word.
Yeah, remember Blizzard All Stars?
Yeah.
Remember Scrolls?
Oh God. Did that ever come out?
Yeah.
It
It's
did,
supposed to
right?
come out,
And it was
yeah.
like okay.
I reviewed it. I reviewed it.
You-
Yeah. I reviewed it.
I reviewed
It was the second to last thing I reviewed as a freelancer before I came on board, and it was a very mediocre card game.
That's disappointing. I feel like didn't. oh, man.
Mediocre is too hard. It was good. It was solid good.
What was the card game that like the ex BioShock guys worked on that finally came out this year? Card Hunter.
I think that sounds right.
Oh,
I think that finally
by
came out
Blue,
this year.
Blue Manchu.
Yep.
It might have
That
been
came out
last year.
Oh no, that came out last year or 2 years ago, but they just like changed it now. It used to be like a card game and
a
sort
tabletop
of
thing.
turn-based thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think it's just straight up like hardcore TGC.
Okay. I'm
It's
checking it out.
what-
I should go back and check it out.
Yeah, I really liked it when I played it. I wrote a guide for it and everything. It was like
Wow.
it was really in depth and sort of there's a lot of tactics to it. I don't know what this new offering is though, but
Did you write the guide just for work or just because you felt like it?
Nobody read it. It's actually just in a doc on his
Yeah.
machine.
Seriously.
He wrote it down in a little pad.
I
by
read
his
it and
computer.
weep slowly. No, I got paid. I got
Wrote it in
paid.
the instruction manual.
I got paid for
returned
it.
to the
I got
video
paid
store.
for it.
No, I used to do that when I was younger all the time. When I really liked the game, I would just like make a move list or a guide. Just
Yeah, and then try to
Because-
show it to someone, and they're like, I don't care.
Dude, I
Check
made-
out Vince's sweet moves.
I invented so many fake fatalities and wrote them in the section of Mortal Kombat at the video store.
I was the nerd that literally went on the internet and found all the information on move lists for like X-Men Children of the Atom and then just brought a printout of it to the arcade and I was just like, yeah.
You were that guy.
I was that guy. Hey, oh, you don't need a move here. I got it.
There was a
Be
kid in
my
my
friend,
school
please.
who would do that for us, but charge 10 cents per printed page.
Oh my God! Why wasn't I him? Why wasn't I
He's an
him?
entrepreneurial.
I did something
devious
similar. I used to
SOB.
I used to play all those like square-based dungeon crawlers where you like walk by squares, and then I'd map out all the dungeons on graph paper
Sure.
Yep.
and just save them in case somebody played the game. And I'm like, here, you find everything. I
This is
like
where the
mark
loot
chests
is.
with triangles. And, yeah.
You did to play some Dungeons of Dreadmore.
Yeah, I like Eye of the Beholder, stuff like that. But Legends of Grimrock
Grimrock. That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
it came out a couple years ago.
Dreadmore's a different game. Yeah.
And then Grimrock 2
Yeah.
came out, I think a year after that, and they're both awesome. But
I can never get behind those games. The only game like that I ever remember
good.
playing, and this is like way off topic now, is there was a Game Boy game called Cosmo Tank.
Oh my god!
And it was like a top-down tank game, and you just shot bugs and other tanks
Yeah.
and stuff. And you get into a cave, and there were like interior sections like that.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I
Yeah.
didn't understand it, and I was just like, "This is not for me."
What
This
Fantasy
guy's
Star
like-
1, Fantasy Star 1 was like that too.
Yeah,
right?
right.
I remember that too. What I loved about him though is like it's not just the killing things in front of you or like turning or like sidestepping. It was just like all the puzzle stuff and like the riddles and the hints. Like there'd be this little secret, like one rock on a wall of thousands of walls. If you pressed it with your cursor, it would open something up, and there'd be a magical sword back there. And I'm like, I nerded out so hard over that stuff.
Hey, you guys want a real blast from the past? Remember when we were talking about BlizzCon?
Oh man! Wow.
Wow.
So-
On
Wow.
blast.
Yeah. So let's wrap up that discussion. So,
Yeah.
so we can move on.
BlizzCon was great.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, seriously, way off the beaten path there. It was cool, man. Like it's such a vibe to be around that fan base because they're so dedicated.
It is super electrifying.
And so passionate. Like I'm like I played World of Warcraft for years and all that, but I'm very what you would call a very middle of the road Blizzard fan. But being in there, I was super charged.
You're like, I need Legion now.
yeah, I know. I was like, I need to find all these Hearthstone cards around the arena because then I can turn them in and get this rare Hearthstone. And I've literally never played Hearthstone before.
What did it seem like the crowd was most excited about? But which of the games?
You know, we were talking about how like can Overwatch get a following or anything, but there were already people there. Like you should have heard when Jeff Kaplan came out on stage and was talking about Overwatch and the characters and the console packs. And by the way, my favorite part of that whole keynote was when he was like, "Hey, does anyone have an internet connection? No, you don't. Well, then I have some really exciting news for you." Like
was
just
really good.
owning the fact that the console news like got leaked the night before. It was great.
I thought they were making fun of the fact that StarCraft still requires an internet connection.
I thought they were saying that the service in the venue sucked.
Maybe all of the above.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you should have heard the crowd. I mean, I think World of Warcraft obviously got the lion's share of the applause. Like when they played that opening cinematic for Legion,
that
everyone
looked so much better than the actual movie.
the actual trailer. So, I mean, I liked the movie cinematic, but the game cinematic like had more character development in it than the movie did.
The movie. I don't know. It's so ridiculous to me. Like that they make these beautiful cinematics, and if they would just attach a good story to it, like I would totally watch
The
that.
whole time I'm thinking like, why not just make this an hour and a half long?
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
Just triple your in-house cinematics team.
Yeah.
And then make a movie, which is
It's probably not that much more expensive than making a movie.
sort of what Activision and Blizzard are doing now
That's
with
true. I
opening a
forgot
movie
about
studio.
The Call of
So,
Duty Cinematic Universe,
look-
y'all, coming soon.
Look for your Call of Duty movie coming 2018, 2019.
Like a live action movie with so much CG in it that it looks like a cartoon anyway. It's like
Yeah.
why not just
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, do you remember back when 300 came out, the trailers for it, and you could like see him talking to other characters, but they didn't really make eye contact. Like they were kind of like talking like this, like Mitch is right here, Dan's right here, and I'm talking to either one of you, but you don't really know which one. That's what I got with like Travis Fimmel in the trailer, right?
Interesting.
Where he's like, if you're gonna do something, do it now, and I'm like, who are you talking to?
he's talking to a tennis ball and a stick.
Exactly,
exactly
like
who he's
25
talking
feet
to.
in the air. He's talking to a tennis ball.